Sigma males don't argue. They don't beg for relationships. They don't hand out endless chances. When a Sigma male decides someone no longer has a place in his life, he doesn't explode, he doesn't create drama, and he doesn't make a scene. He simply starts preparing for silence. And long before he disappears physically, he disappears emotionally. But here's the part most people never realize. Sigma males give one final, silent warning before they vanish forever. No yelling. No accusations. No emotional outburst. Just a quiet shift, a change so subtle that the average person overlooks it completely. And by the time they finally wake up and ask, what happened, it's already far too late. Because with Sigma males, once the door closes, there is no reopening it. No return. No second attempt. No negotiation. And that's what makes this so different from ordinary breakups or arguments. Sigma males don't block you out of spite. They don't disappear to get attention. They don't walk away hoping you'll chase them. They leave when they've analyzed everything, the behavior, the pattern, the disrespect, the emotional exhaustion, and reached a final, unshakable conclusion. This isn't impulse. This isn't anger. This is logic. A Sigma male will endure a lot in silence. He'll forgive quietly. He'll give space. He'll wait to see if things improve. But once he reaches the point where he knows the connection can't be saved, he doesn't look back. His mind shuts the door long before his body walks away. So before he disappears, he sends a warning, not with threats, not with lectures, but with behavior. A shift in tone, in energy, in commitment. Most people ignore it because they mistake it for mood swings or distance. But it's not distance. It's the countdown. And if a Sigma male ever vanished from your life and you stood there confused, wondering how someone could be so calm, so quiet, and so final, this is why. He warned you. You just didn't see it. Number 1. The sudden calm. The very first and most deceptive warning sign is sudden calmness. And this is where most people get completely blindsided. They mistake the silence for peace, the lack of argument for improvement, and the emotional distance for maturity. But with a Sigma male, calmness is rarely a sign of resolution, it's a sign of completion. Usually, this moment comes after a pattern. Maybe boundaries were ignored, emotional demands were excessive, manipulation was happening, or the relationship became draining. Whatever the issue was, it didn't appear out of nowhere, it's been building slowly over time. And contrary to the myth that Sigma males never communicate, he did try to address it. But he did it in his signature way, quietly, directly, without drama. I need space. This dynamic isn't healthy for me. You're asking for more than I can realistically give. Most people hear these statements, but because his voice is steady, his tone is controlled, and he isn't emotional, they don't take him seriously. They treat the warning like a suggestion instead of a line in the sand. So the pattern continues, and eventually, something shifts. Suddenly, the complaints disappear. The conversations stop. The warnings stop. He no longer points out the problems. He no longer shows frustration. He no longer tries to defend boundaries or ask for change. To someone who isn't paying attention, it looks like things got better. But what actually happened is quiet and irreversible. The Sigma male has made his decision. He has detached. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, he's already gone. The relationship is no longer something he's trying to repair. It's something he's preparing to leave. This sudden calmness is the transition between caring and walking away. He isn't fighting anymore because there's nothing left to fight for. He isn't trying to keep the connection alive, because he already knows it's over. He simply hasn't physically left yet. There is no anger, no bitterness, and no emotional chaos. Just silence. And because that silence feels peaceful, most people miss the warning entirely. When a Sigma stops arguing, it's not victory, it's surrender. When he stops setting boundaries, he no longer cares if they're crossed. When he stops reacting, he has emotionally disconnected. He's just waiting for the right moment to exit your life without creating a storm on the way out. To a Sigma male, that calm is the loudest message he can send. It means, I'm done. I'm gone. You just haven't realized it yet. If you ever see a Sigma male suddenly go completely calm after expressing concerns, pay attention. That is not reconciliation. That is emotional detachment. And detachment always comes right before disappearance. Number 2. The shortened responses. The second warning sign reveals itself in communication, specifically, in how his responses begin to shrink. At first, it looks harmless. There's no argument, no cold statement, no dramatic shift. Just less. And because there's nothing explosive about it, most people completely overlook the meaning behind it. Yes, Sigma males are naturally concise, but even their brevity has substance. When a Sigma is interested and emotionally present, his short messages still contain thought, intention, and connection. He asks questions, he gives opinions, he follows up, he remembers details. You can feel his engagement even when he speaks few words. When he cares, his communication has presence. But once he's preparing to cut someone out of his life, that presence disappears. The conversation starts to feel empty. His responses turn into cold fragments, short, flat, and lifeless. Messages that once received full sentences now get one or two detached words that feel more like obligation than communication. Okay. Sure. Fine. And suddenly, every exchange becomes one-sided. You speak, he acknowledges. You share, he responds with the bare minimum to avoid conversation. There is no curiosity, no emotional warmth, no effort to continue the conversation. It's like talking to a wall that occasionally nods. The contrast is what makes it obvious. For example, before, you asked, "How was your day?" He might say, "Pretty good. Busy, but actually productive. I had a meeting that went better than expected. What about you?" Now, you ask the exact same question, and the answer is, "Good." Nothing extra. No detail. No interest. Before, "What do you think about this idea?" He would give a real opinion, whether he agreed, disagreed, or had suggestions. Now, you ask the same thing, and he replies, "Whatever you think." Which really means, "I'm not invested enough to care." You share something personal, something exciting or painful, and instead of engagement or empathy, you get, "Cool. Nice. All right." These aren't neutral words. They are signals of emotional withdrawal. Most people miss this and make excuses for him. He's stressed. He's overwhelmed. He's just tired. He'll be back to normal soon. But here's the truth, if he valued the relationship, he would tell you he's overwhelmed. If he wanted to stay connected, he would communicate the distance instead of silently creating it. The lack of effort is the message. He isn't busy, he's detaching. He is packing up emotionally before he leaves physically. He is removing his presence slowly, piece by piece, so that by the time he finally disappears, it feels less shocking and more inevitable. This is how Sigma males exit, quietly, gradually, without confrontation, without dramatic announcements. Just silence replacing substance. He's not being rude, he's not punishing you, and he's not seeking attention. He's simply finished investing his energy. And because Sigma males don't emotionally cling, once they're done on the inside, the outside collapses quickly. Short replies are not a communication flaw, they are distance made visible. And distance always comes before disappearance. If you notice his responses shrinking after being consistently meaningful, understand what's happening. You are losing him in small pieces. And once the last piece is gone, so is he, permanently. Number 3. The vanishing future. The third warning sign shows up in time, not in the present moment, but in what he no longer includes you in, the future. When a Sigma male still values a connection, even in his quiet, understated way, there is always a subtle sense of continuation. He doesn't need dramatic promises, romantic speeches, or detailed plans. His commitment shows up in the small, casual ways he includes you in what comes next. You'll hear things like, "We should check out that place sometime. Remind me to send you that book. Let's grab food next week." These aren't grand gestures or deep declarations. They are tiny anchors, signals that he expects you to stay in his life. They mean that your presence matters enough to be part of his upcoming experiences. With Sigma males, these little remarks speak louder than any emotional confession. But when he has decided to remove you from his world, all of that disappears. Suddenly, the future goes blank. The road ahead, where you once existed, turns into silence. Any attempt to schedule something beyond the immediate moment is met with vague, uncertain, and non-committal answers. Maybe. We'll see. I'm not sure. Not because he's indecisive, busy, or confused, Sigma males rarely are. Instead, he already knows the future he's creating, and you aren't in it. You bring up an event you used to attend together, and he doesn't say "we" anymore. You mention a holiday, a tradition, a movie coming out next month, or a plan you once assumed would be shared, and instead of excitement or agreement, he responds with distance. No enthusiasm. No confirmation. No emotional investment. He won't argue with you. He won't reject you outright. He simply avoids placing himself beside you in any moment that hasn't happened yet. It's subtle, but intentional. Sigma males don't offer promises they won't keep, and they don't plant seeds in a garden they plan to leave. To most people, this warning goes unnoticed. They misinterpret the lack of commitment as stress, spontaneity, or temporary overwhelm. They tell themselves, "He's just busy. He's thinking. He'll decide later." But a Sigma male doesn't delay decisions. If he doesn't say yes, it's because the answer is already no. If he doesn't plan the future with you, it's because he knows you won't be in it. He isn't refusing plans, he's refusing a future. This is his quiet version of honesty. No manipulation, no deception, no false hope. He simply stops building bridges to tomorrow because he doesn't plan to cross them with you. So if every plan becomes short-term, if every invitation is met with uncertainty, if sometime turns into silence, then understand what he's actually saying without words. You're not coming with me. In that moment, you no longer hold long-term access to him, you're living on borrowed time. And the closer he gets to walking away for good, the more the future disappears. Eventually, there will be no plans at all. Just the present. And then not even that. Number 4. The emotional flatline. The fourth warning sign is emotional, and it is the hardest one to ignore, because it doesn't explode, it fades. When a Sigma male is still invested, he doesn't show affection loudly or constantly, but there is always a quiet presence behind his actions. His reactions are subtle, but real. If you tell him something good, he acknowledges it with a small spark of interest. If you are hurting, he may not shower you with dramatic comfort, but you feel his attention, his patience, his silent support. When you share something meaningful, he listens, not because he has to, but because he genuinely cares. Then one day, that warmth is gone. This is the emotional flatline, the moment he shuts the door inside, long before he walks away on the outside. His responses become technically correct, but emotionally hollow. You share good news, that's good. Delivered with the same tone he'd use to discuss the weather. You share something painful, that's tough. No empathy, no follow-up questions, no curiosity. You express something personal, I understand. Cold, distant, and empty. Nothing moves him. Nothing reaches him. Nothing touches him. Every response becomes neutral, minimal, and robotic. The emotional temperature never rises, not for happiness, not for sadness, not for anything. And this is the part most people don't realize. He didn't go emotionally numb for the whole world. He went emotionally numb only for you. He might laugh with others. He might have energy in his daily life. He might show warmth to friends or strangers. But with you? Silence. Emotional absence. A flat line. People often misinterpret this shift. They assume he's stressed, depressed, overwhelmed, or mentally drained. They tell themselves, he's just going through something. He'll come back around. He just needs time. No, he doesn't. Because a Sigma male doesn't emotionally disconnect by accident. He detaches with purpose. This flatline is not anger. It is not revenge. It is not punishment. It is indifference. And indifference is the point of no return. Once a Sigma male stops caring, the bond is already broken. His body may still be present. His voice may still speak. His messages may still come through. But emotionally, he is gone. You are no longer someone he invests in. You are simply someone he is phasing out. This is his silent exit, the stage before the physical disappearance. By the time you notice the emotional flatline, the relationship isn't dying. It's already dead. Number 5. The final conversation. The fifth warning is the most unmistakable, yet most people only recognize it long after it's over. Before a Sigma male disappears for good, there is almost always one last real conversation. Not an argument, not a fight, not a moment of emotional chaos. It's calm, controlled, and fully transparent. And that's exactly why people underestimate it. They assume there will be another chance, another discussion, another round. There won't be. In this conversation, the Sigma male lays everything on the table. He explains what the problems are, what he needed, what he tried, and what he can no longer accept. There's no hidden meaning. No emotional manipulation. No guilt tripping. It's the cleanest honesty most people will ever hear from another human being. By the time he says these things out loud, he has already analyzed the relationship, weighed it, and moved on emotionally. He's not asking you to change. He's not hoping things will get better. He's not making a final plea for effort or respect. The decision is made. This isn't negotiation, this is closure. So the conversation sounds like, I've asked for more space several times. Nothing changed. So I'm choosing differently. You continue to cross boundaries. I don't believe you're doing it intentionally, but I don't believe it will stop. So I'm removing myself from the situation. This dynamic doesn't work for me anymore. I've tried adjusting. It hasn't improved. I won't continue it. There is no yelling. No insults. No emotional outburst. His voice is steady, his tone is neutral, and his words are final. And this is where most people make their last mistake. They hear his calmness, and assume they still have time. So they start promising things. I'll change. I'll give you what you need. I'll fix it. And the Sigma male will acknowledge those promises politely and without resistance. I hear you. All right. We'll see. But inside, nothing has changed. That wasn't a request, it was a conclusion. That conversation was the exit. After that, life goes quiet. Not abruptly or dramatically, just slowly and silently. A few days pass. Maybe a week. And then the realization hits, he's gone. Messages stop getting replies. Calls stop connecting. Plans fade into nothing. There's no big announcement, no confrontation, no emotional goodbye. Just absence. And eventually the truth becomes undeniable. That conversation was his goodbye. I just didn't recognize it. The final conversation is the loudest warning a Sigma male will ever give. When he speaks clearly, calmly, and without anger, when he explains his reasoning like a man closing a book, he has already left. You just haven't felt the silence yet. Conclusion. At the end of the day, this single moment says more about humanity than thousands of speeches ever could. A small boy, gently feeding an elderly woman who no longer has the strength to feed herself. No complaints. No frustration. No rush. Just patience, and pure love. He doesn't see a burden. He doesn't see a problem. He sees a person who once cared for him, and now it's his turn. When we talk about love, most people imagine the big expressions, gifts, celebrations, romantic words, grand gestures. But real love is quiet. Real love is steady. Real love is in moments like this, helping someone who can't give you anything in return. We forget, sometimes, that the older generation carried the world long before we arrived. They taught us how to walk, how to speak, how to live. Their hands were once strong. Their steps were once firm. Life simply came full circle. And one day, every single one of us will stand in the same place, fragile, slow, hoping someone will care for us with the same gentleness. That's why this image is so powerful. It reminds us that character is not shown in how we treat people who can reward us, but in how we treat those who cannot. Anyone can be kind when it's convenient. True kindness is doing good when nobody is watching, when there is nothing to gain, when it's simply the right thing to do. This boy doesn't have much, not money, not power, not age. But he has something far more valuable, a heart that understands responsibility, loyalty, and compassion. He proves that maturity has nothing to do with age. He shows us that you don't need to be rich to give, and you don't need to be grown to love deeply. If adults carried the same innocence and empathy children have naturally, the world would be softer. Families would stay together. Elderly people wouldn't be forgotten. And kindness wouldn't be rare. So the next time life feels too busy or too loud, remember this moment. Slow down. Appreciate the people who raised you, loved you, sacrificed for you, or even simply believed in you. Because one day, all that will matter is how deeply we cared for others. In a world obsessed with success, be someone obsessed with humanity.